Today in the NEET Crash Course program, Chemistry, we are going to discuss the questions on D block, F block elements, metallurgy and surface chemistry. Let us start our questions. Question number 1. Which one of the following has least magnetic moment? So for magnetic moment, we are going to see the number of unpaired electrons as the criteria to decide this. So we have copper, nickel, cobalt, iron. Copper, nickel, cobalt. So copper, nickel, cobalt and iron, Fe2 plus. So let us write the atomic numbers 29, 28, 27, 26. So when you take the electronic configuration, just what you have to do, add the two numbers and subtract the charge from it. That will be your configuration. So if you subtract this 3D9 configuration, here 2 if you remove 3D8 configuration, 3D8 configuration, here it will be 2 goes of 3D7 configuration, here 2 goes of 3D6 configuration. So the number of unpaired electrons is 10 minus 9, 1 electron. Number of unpaired electrons 10 minus 8, 2 electrons. Number of unpaired electrons 10 minus 7, 3 electrons. Number of unpaired electrons 10 minus 6, 4 electrons. So the number of unpaired electrons as n value increases, mu value increases. We know mu is equals to root over n into n plus 2 Bohr magnetons. It is directly proportional to mu. So n, maximum n value will have maximum magnetic moment. So the question is about which is having least magnetic moment. Least magnetic moment will be for copper, Cu2 plus ions. So the answer is option A. Coming to question number 2. Knowing the chemistry of lanthanides dominated by its +3 oxidation state, which of the following is incorrect? Okay, let us see which is incorrect. Because of large size of lanthanide ions, bonding in its compounds is predominantly ionic. Lanthanides resembles alkaline earth metals in its properties, so they are ionic, correct? Lanthanum 3, ionic size of lanthanum 3 ions decrease in general with increase in atomic number. Lanthanide contraction, correct? Lanthanum compounds are generally colorless. No, they undergo FF transitions and leads to color exhibiting property. So this is the wrong option. And lanthanum 3 hydroxides are mainly basic in nature. Correct, because they resemble S block elements in its properties. So they are basic in nature. So the answer for this should be option C. Correct. Come on, next go to the question number 3. In context with transition elements, which of the following is again incorrect? Okay. In addition to normal oxidation states, zero oxidation state is shown by elements in complexes. Correct. Carbon monoxide, we have seen NO, we have seen C2H4. These particular in the synopsis we have seen, we'll see the elements will show the complexes with lowest oxidation state, particularly with carbon monoxide, zero oxidation state also. In the highest oxidation states, transition metals show basic character and form cationic complexes. No, this is the wrong option. If you take B is the wrong option. Let us find out how it is. I'll show you later. In the highest oxidation state of first 5 elements, all the 4s and 3D involves in the bonding, correct? All the unpaired electrons take part in the bonding. So up to manganese, all electrons are unpaired. So this is the correct statement. All the unpaired electrons take part in bonding from S and D. Variable oxidation states are possible. Once the D5 configuration is exceeded, tendency to involve D electrons in the bonding decreases. Correct? Pairing starts, number of D electrons participating in the bonding decreases. And let us see what is the reason for option B. Let us go to this. In option B, what it says, if you have the highest oxidation state, let us take Mn2O7. If you take this is manganese is in +7 oxidation state. If you add H2O to this, you will get 2HMnO4, which is a permanganic acid. This is going to be an acid. Is it a base or acid? Acid. So the higher oxidation state compounds results in formation of acids, not in terms of base. So the answer for this is option B. It is the wrong answer, incorrect statement among the 4 statements. Coming to this, which one of the following compounds is formed when the mixture of K2Cr2O7 and NaCl is heated with concentrated H2SO4? Which one of the following is formed when a mixture of K2Cr2O7 and NaCl? Let us see this particular question now. in this, let us go for the equation for this and then come to the answer. What can be the possible equation which can be written? So the equation which can be written for this is K2Cr2O7 plus 6H2SO4 plus 4NaCl gives rise to 2KHSO4 plus 4NaHSO4 plus 2CrO2Cl2 plus 3H2O. This is going to be the product which will be formed. So what is the resultant formed here? CrO2 Cl2. Let us see the answer which is giving you in this particular one. CrO2 Cl2 is formed in the product, and so the answer for this should be option A. So question number 5. One of the products formed due to the reaction between KMnO4 and HCl. What will be the reaction between KMnO4 and HCl? So if I take this particular one, KMnO4 and HCl. So if I take 2 KMnO4 plus 3H2SO4 plus 10 HCl. Sorry. So let us come to this. K2SO4, MnSO4, H2O and 5Cl2. The product formed here is greenish yellow gas which is formed over the product. So the answer for this reaction, what is the reaction between KMnO4 and HCl? Results in the formation of chlorine gas which is greenish yellow gas. So the answer for this should be option C. So the answer for this is option C. Coming to the sixth question, zinc does not show variable valency because of. Why zinc does not show variable valency? Because it has complete filled d subshell. Zinc does not come under transition elements, not a transition element. Since it is not a transition element because of 3d10 configuration, completely filled d configuration, we can say zinc will be the answer coming to complete d subshell. So now which group contains colored ions out of the following? Okay, let us go to the copper, titanium, cobalt and iron. So Cu, titanium 4 plus, cobalt and this. So Cu 2 plus, titanium 4 plus, cobalt 2 plus, Fe2 plus. So when you take this particular one, atomic number of cobalt 29, titanium 22, cobalt 27, iron 26. So the electronic configuration of this one will be 3d9 configuration, and this will be 3d0 configuration. 2 plus 2 4, 4 minus 4 0, 2 plus 9 11, 11 minus 2 9. So here 2 plus 7 9, 9 minus 2 is 7, 3d7. And iron 2 plus 6 8, 8 minus 2 is 3d6 configuration. So when you take this particular one, here you have the number of unpaired electrons will be 1 electron. Here you will have 0 electrons. Here you have 3 electrons. Here you have 4 electrons. So you have copper, Cu is there, CO2 plus is there, and Fe2 plus. These are the species which have unpaired electrons. Where do we find this? You find them in the option. Which option we have? Copper, cobalt and iron. 1, 2 should not be there in the option. So 3, 1 is eliminated. 2 is there, so C is eliminated. 2 is there, so D is eliminated. So eliminating this, the option left out is option B. So the answer should be option B. So coming to the eighth question, zinc and mercury do not show variable valency like D block elements. Reason simple, as we have said, they have completely filled D subshell. That is the only option we can say, nothing more than this, because they are not showing any transition properties. They lack of transitional behavior. So the answer should be option B. Coming to the question number 9, the number of unpaired electrons in nickel atom. Nickel atom, number of unpaired electrons. Nickel atomic number is going to be 28. So it is going to be written as 4s2 3d8 configuration. So there no unpaired electrons, 0. Here we have 2 unpaired electrons. So the total number of unpaired electrons in D8, if you take the D8 configuration, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you have 2 unpaired electrons left out. So the answer is option A, 2 unpaired electrons. Coming to question number 10, which of the following compounds does not decolorize acidified solution of KMnO4? That means KMnO4 should not behave as an oxidizing agent. Where there is no redox reaction, there is no decolorization of KMnO4. Now sulfur dioxide SO2 can convert into SO4 2-. So the reaction is possible. Ferric chloride Fe is in +3 state. Is there any chance of going into then? No, there is no further. Fe+3 cannot further get oxidized. But Fe+2, ferrous sulfate Fe+2 can convert into Fe+3. This is possible. This is possible. Hydrogen peroxide can be oxidized to oxygen gas. This is possible. So the only possibility where there is no further reaction to continue is in option B. Ferric cannot further get oxidized. So the answer will be FeCl3, ferric chloride. So the answer will be option B. Coming to question number 11. Which of the following reactions is possible at anode? At anode, anox. So the oxidation takes place at anode. Oxidation should take place at anode. This is the key point to take. So Cr is in +3 oxidation. Cr will be in +6. So this is going to be in oxidation, correct? So option A is undergoing oxidation. But when it comes to fluorine to 2F, this is 0 oxidation state. This is also 0. No. Here if you take in this particular one, in this particular reaction, oxygen is moving from 0 oxidation state to -2 oxidation state, which is going to be a reduction process. We are not concerned about reduction. So the only option which is left out, which is undergoing oxidation, is option A. So the answer for this is option A. Question number 12, if you take the pair of compounds in which both the metals are in the highest possible oxidation states. Highest possible oxidation states. If you take this, iron in option A, FeCN6. If you take 3-, COCN6 3-. So if I am taking this particular one, FeCN6 3- and COCN6 3-. So Cn will be in -1 oxidation state. So x minus 6 is equals to -3, x is equals to +3 oxidation state. So iron is in +3 here. Same way here cobalt will also be in +3 oxidation state. But if you take CrO2 Cl2, here it will be chromium will be in +6 oxidation state. MnO4-, here manganese will be in +7 oxidation state. And MnO2, TiO2, this is in +4 oxidation state. This is also in +4 oxidation state. So the maximum oxidation state is observed in the case of chromium and manganese, chromium, chromyl chloride and MnO4- compound. So the option where we can see this is possible is only in option B, where these all are having less oxidation state. So the highest is possible only in option B. Coming to 13, zinc chloride reacts with excess of ammonia solution to produce. Okay, Zn 2+ reacts with ammonia. So 4NH3 gives rise to ZnNH3 4 times 2+ complex. This is going to be the complex where zinc complex will be with sp3 hybridization, will be having tetrahedral geometry. It should have tetrahedral geometry, and that is possible in only option B. So the answer for this will be option B, tetrahedral geometry. Moving to 14th question, DD transition does not account for. DD transition does not account where no unpaired electrons. Where you have no unpaired electrons, it does not account for DD transition. Color is not due to DD transition. In that case, if you say Cr2O7 2-, chromium is in +6 oxidation state. Correct this particular one, children. CrO4 2-, not Cr2O4. So I am going to cancel this. I'll write the formula CrO4 2-, because as per the options available, I have to correct this. So this also comes to +6 oxidation. Dichromate, chromate, chromyl chloride is also +6 oxidation state. All have same oxidation state. Then only this is possible to have the options. If not, it should be A and C. If CrO4 2- is corrected, then it goes to the option D. So let us see what is the answer given. Answer says option D. So that means it should be corrected to CrO4 2-. So small correction, children. And then question number 15. How many electrons are involved in the oxidation by KMnO4 in basic medium? Very simple. MnO4 minus in strong basic medium changes to MnO4 2-. So the change is from +7 oxidation state to +6 oxidation state. Difference is 1 unit, 1 electron. So the change is only 1 electron involved in this particular one. So the answer is 1. So now moving into metallurgy. Which of the following pair consists of ore of same metal? Okay, galena, PBS, calamine. If I am taking calamine, this will be ZnCO3. Okay, coming to cuprite. Cuprite is Cu2O. Calamine is ZnCO3. Okay, siderite. Siderite will be FeCO3. Magnetite will be Fe3O4. Siderite will be FeCO3. Cuprite will be Cu2O. So I have written all on the screen. Now you can tell me which is the correct answer. Same metal. So everyone knows it. The answer is yes. Answer is C, siderite and magnetite. Coming to question number 17. In froth flotation process, which of the following substance can be used as froth stabilizers? Okay, let us name each one. Whenever we see the word xanthates, they are called as collectors which take ores into the oil. Aniline is the froth stabilizer. Aniline is a stabilizer. And CuSO4 is an activator or a catalyst. Activator. And NaCN is a depressant in froth flotation process. When you have mixture of sulfide ores, depressant. So the answer for our question is option B. So the answer, let us check. Option B. Coming to 18th, extraction of copper. The fuel used in the furnace is silica is a flux. This can act as a flux. This can act as a flux in the furnaces. So this is the fuel where you can say this is going to be the oxygen is going to be the air, blast of air, which is undergoing reaction is carbon will undergo combustion reaction to form CO or CO2. This reaction is possible. So the coke is the only fuel which can undergo combustion reactions. So the answer for this will be option C. Who can undergo combustion reactions in this? Very good. Next, moving to question number 19. Electrolytic reduction of alumina, it is fused with. So alumina is reacted with cryolite. The purpose is to decrease the melting point and to increase the conductivity. Increase the conductivity of electrolyte solution. We use cryolite. Cryolite is Na3Al F6. So this is going to be used in the process. Remaining all are not used. Carnallite is not used. Fluorine is not used. Feldspar is not used. Fluorspar can be used, but feldspar is not used in the process. So the answer, the electrolytic reduction can be done in use of cryolite. Okay. Next, purification of bauxite do not involve. Yes, Hall's process is involved. Serpex process is involved. Bayer's process is involved. Serpex is for the white bauxite. Hall's and Bayer's process is for red bauxite. But Dow's process is for extraction of magnesium. This is used for extraction of magnesium, not aluminium. So the answer for this is very clear. Answer is B. Okay, coming to 21 question. Which of the following is a carbonate ore of lead? Let us write the formulas for each one. PBS is galena, lead sulfide. Anglesite is PbSO4. This is also known to you. Cryolite formula Na3Al F6. This is also known to us. And kerosite formula, what is the formula? PbCO3. Very good. That's the formula. Now, if you have all this, your answer is on the screen now. Which is the carbonate ore of lead? Yes, kerosite is the answer. Carbonate ore of lead. So the answer should be option D. So now coming to 22nd question, which can be purified by zone refining method. Remember, zone refining method is for semiconductors. Semiconductors. Which are semiconductors? Like silicon, germanium, gallium. These type of compounds we use zone refining process. So the option which is available directly in the semiconductors available here is gallium. So the answer goes to D. 23rd question. Froth flotation method is selected for concentration of sulfide ores due to what is froth flotation? Difference in the wetting nature. Oil plus water will be there. Ore goes into the oil, impurity goes into the water. So the wetting nature of ore and impurity difference. So we can see the sulfide ore particles are wetted by the oil. This is the answer where froth flotation process can be explained. So the answer should be option C. Now coming to 24th question, which of the following metal cannot be extracted by smelting process? Smelting process. So we already said smelting, what will be the conditions? You should have ore plus flux plus reducing agent. These are the three things which are required for smelting. But remember, a reducing agent like carbon or coke or anything, aluminum generally exists as Al2O3. It cannot be reduced by carbon. So aluminum oxide cannot be reduced by carbon since it is the most stable oxide. You cannot reduce it with a reducing agent. Smelting process cannot be applicable for aluminum extraction. Where you can use it for zinc, where zinc oxide with C, Belgian process gives Zn plus CO. You can apply for Fe2O3 plus C, gives rise to Fe plus CO. You can apply for lead also, but you cannot apply for aluminum. The reason is aluminum is more stable oxides. So the answer is option A. Coming to 25, calcium phosphate slag is commercially known as Ca3PO4 twice. Calcium phosphate, this is called as Thomas slag. Very famous name, Thomas slag. So the word Thomas slag, so the option is option B. Coming to 26th question, the chemical composition of slag formed during the smelting process in the extraction of copper is. Slag formed during the smelting process in the extraction of copper. We know copper matte Cu2S plus little FeS. This is called taken as matte, copper matte. Now when we go into this particular one, we'll get Cu2O plus FeO, little bit of Cu2S. This will be left out. So Cu2O and Cu2S will go for auto oxidation. This go for auto reduction. Now what is left out? This FeO will react with the flux SiO2, forms FeSiO3. This is taken as slag. So what is slag formed in this process is FeSiO3 is the slag which will be formed, which is in the option B. So the answer is B. Coming to 27th question, extraction of zinc from zinc blende is achieved by. Extraction of zinc from zinc blende is achieved by. So that extraction can be, let us see, Zn zinc blend. First, this will be converted. Zinc sulfide will be on roasting process converted into ZnO. This will be on roasting process. Further, this ZnO will be reacted with carbon at 1643 Kelvin, nearly 1643 Kelvin temperatures, gives you zinc plus carbon monoxide. This is going to happen. So reduction with carbon, Belgian process we call. This is following. So electrolytic reduction, no. Roasting followed by reduction with carbon, yes. This is going to be the answer. Option B is going to be the answer for this. So let us see. Option B, yes. I hope you are understanding the concept. Very easy. Everything is explained in your synopsis. Go back to synopsis if you have any doubts. Oil used as frothing agent in froth flotation process is, okay, pine oil. No need to go for any other option because already the first option itself is satisfying. So the answer should be option A. Pine oil is the frothing agent used in froth flotation process. So the answer is option A. Coming to 29, tin and lead can be purified by. What is the specialty of tin and lead is tin and lead are easily fusible metals. Easily fusible metals. What do you mean by this? That means they can be easily melt into liquids. So they convert into liquids easily. For liquids, melting point is the criteria for separation, and which is the process we use for difference in the melting points is liquation. Remember, we have liquation, difference in melting points. This is the difference in melting point, liquation process. So we go for the liquation process, which is the difference in melting points related to that. Tin and lead can be separated easily by liquation process. So the answer should be option B. Very good. That's done. So coming to the next one, question number 30. Zone refining is a technique used primarily for which one of the following process? Alloying? No. Tempering? No. Sintering? No. Purification? Yes. It is a refining process. It's a refining process. So crude metal to ultra pure metal. Crude metal to ultra pure metal. Conversion of crude metal to ultra pure metal is what zone refining process. So the answer should be purification. So the option D. Coming to question number 31. Okay, 31. Which one of the following substances is not used for preparing lyophilic soles? Very simple question. When I use the word lyophilic, children, very easy to understand. If it is an organic compound, lyophobic. If it is an inorganic compound, simple way I told you to remember. So in this starch, gum, gelatin, the only inorganic compound is metal sulfide. This is going to be the inorganic compound. Can it be lyophilic? So which is not used is option D. Simple way to identify, no need to buy out anything. This is the way. Okay, I hope you understood. So the answer should be option D. Seriously, yes. Okay, coming to question number 32. Which of the following is an incorrect statement for physisorption? Physisorption. Okay, physisorption, van der Waals forces. It's a reversible process. It's a correct option. Less heat of adsorption, minus 20 to minus 40 kilojoule per mole. Correct option. It takes place at low adsorption. Yes, it is adsorption inversely proportional to temperature. So this is also a correct option. The only it requires activation energy. There is zero activation energy. Zero activation energy. So this is the wrong option. So the incorrect statement in this can be option C. Option C is requires activation energy. Okay, coming to 33rd one. The formation of colloid from suspension is colloid from suspension. That means your fresh precipitate is converting into colloid. This phenomena is called as peptization, which is called as peptization. Conversion of precipitate to colloid is a peptization. Conversion of colloid to precipitate is coagulation. Coagulation. So see this direction carefully. Colloid to precipitate is coagulation. Conversion of precipitate to colloid is peptization. So here we are talking about colloid formation from suspension. So it should be peptization. So the answer should be peptization. So A. Okay, coming to the next question. Arsenic sulfide is a negative sol. Okay. The reagent with least precipitating power. So according to Hardy-Sculls rule, positive ion can only coagulate negative one. So the positive ion from NaCl is Na plus. Positive ion from Ca2 plus is Ca2 plus from CaF2. Is there any ion coming? No ion is coming from glucose. It is a non-electrolyte. So which cannot precipitate easily. Arsenic sulfide sol is glucose. So when you say the power is least, is only for glucose. It cannot coagulate, where Na plus can coagulate, Ca2 plus can coagulate, Al plus 3 can coagulate. Glucose cannot coagulate. So the only option who have least power can be glucose. Very fine. Coming to the 35th question. Now the bond between adsorbate and adsorbent. Okay, what is adsorbate? If you have a substance on which the particles are adsorbing, on which the particles are getting adsorbed, now we say these are called adsorbate and this is called adsorbent. This is called adsorbent. The substance, the medium is adsorbent. The particles adsorbed are adsorbate. And what is the force or what is the bond which is present in chemisorption? I told you it can be any chemical bond. A chemical bond can be either ionic bond, a chemical bond can be either covalent bond. So it can be either ionic or covalent bond. So the answer should be option C, either ionic or covalent bond. Coming to 36, the higher the critical temperature of the gas. If the critical temperature increases, then the adsorption increases because easily liquefiable gas. The gases are said to be easily liquefiable gases. So the gases whose critical temperature is very high, they are said to be easily liquefiable gas. That means condensation of gas is very easy. Condensation refers to adsorption phenomena. So I can say greater the critical temperature, greater is the extent of adsorption. The option A can be. So the ease of liquefaction should be high. So this is the wrong statement. Adsorption, wrong statement. Volatile nature, lesser is its volatile nature. Volatile nature will be there. We are not talking about critical temperature, volatile nature. So the option over here should be option A. Yes, option A is the correct answer. Coming to 37. X by M versus temperature at constant pressure is called. Okay, now you see it is between X by M and temperature, but at constant pressure. If it is isotherm, isotherm is constant temperature. Isochore is constant volume. Isotherm is constant temperature. Isobar is constant pressure. So where you have constant pressure, option B. So the answer should be option B in this case. So 38th question, let us come. The type of adsorption depicted by adsorption isobar. So this is at constant pressure we are doing. Now X by M versus T. So X by M, increase in temperature decreases X by M value. This corresponds to physisorption. This corresponds to physisorption. But if your graph is like this, X by M versus temperature increasing and decreasing, then this leads to chemisorption. This is chemisorption. So now the graph which is given to us, it depicts the adsorption is a physical adsorption. So the answer for this is physical adsorption, undoubtedly. Coming to 39th question, the rate of chemical reaction is increased in presence of catalyst. This is because of, wow, let us see what happens. Activation energy is less in the new path. Heat of reaction is decreased. No, this will not get affected. Threshold energy is increased. Wrong. Activation energy of new path is more. No. So when you see the presence and the absence of the catalyst, in the presence of catalyst, this is in the presence of catalyst, your activation energy is originally decreased, but your original initial and final points are not changing. So there is no change in heat, decrease in threshold energy, decrease in activation energy. So the answer for this should be option A, the decrease in activation energy. Coming to 40, which plot is the adsorption isobar for chemisorption? Okay, very good. Isobar, so constant pressure, we are doing at constant pressure. This is carried out at constant pressure. Now X by M versus T for chemisorption increases with temperature and then decreases. This is for physisorption and this is for chemisorption, and this is the wrong one, and this is not going to be with respect to temperature. This is going to be X by M versus pressure, Freundlich adsorption isotherm. This is a wrong statement, so this is wrong over here. So the answer for this should be Option C. Very good. Coming to the next 41, according to Freundlich adsorption isotherm, which of the following is correct? X by m is proportional to p power 1, x by m proportional to p power 1 by n, x by m proportional to p power 0. So let us take this graph. If I am taking x by m versus pressure, initially the graph is linear, then takes an elliptical and takes a straight line graph. So here up to here it is proportional to p power, directly proportional to p power 1. So between these 2 points it is proportional to p power 1 by n. From here you can see it is proportional to p power 0. So all three are applicable for Freundlich adsorption isotherms. So the answer should be all the above for different ranges. Let us see what is the given answer for this. Option D, correct. So coming to the next one, 42. Wow, this is the question. When 6 into 10 power minus 5 grams of protective colloid was added to 20 ml of standard gold sol, the precipitation of latter was just prevented on adding 2 ml of 10% NaCl solution. Gold number of protective colloid is. Okay, first what is gold number? Is number of milligrams of protective colloid, number of milligrams of protective colloid added to prevent coagulation of 10 ml of gold sol from 1 ml of 10% NaCl solution. So remember this particular one, 1 ml should be taken, 10 ml should be taken, expressed in milligrams. But in the question which is given 6 into 10 power minus 5 grams, 6 into 10 power minus 5 grams is required for 20 ml of gold sol for 2 ml of 10% NaCl solution. 2 ml of 10% NaCl solution. Now let us convert them into the standard data. It should be done to 1 ml. So if I convert this into 1 ml, this will convert into 10 ml. 1 ml, this becomes 10 ml, and this becomes 3 into 10 power minus 5 grams. Just see here, the only point is this is as per the standard, this is as per the standard, but now this should be expressed in which one? In milligrams. So what we'll do, this convert into milligrams, 3 into 10 power minus 5 into 10 power 3 milligrams, which is equals to 3 into 10 power minus 2 milligrams, which is 0.03 milligrams. So this is going to be the gold number, 0.03. Let us see where we have this option, 0.03 in option D. So it's an easy way, and we get the gold number very easily. So the answer is option D. Now 43, peptidization denotes, peptidization is conversion of fresh precipitate to colloid. Fresh precipitate to colloid, this conversion is called peptidization. So it is not about digestion of food, no, not about proteins, not about breaking and dispersion. Where we have this particular one, yeah, dispersion into colloid, correct. This is correct. Breaking and dispersion into colloid is correct, not about precipitation of solid into colloid from colloid. So this is wrong. So we are not getting precipitation, we are breaking the precipitation into colloidal solution. So the option C is the correct answer. So the answer will be option C. Now moving to the 44th question, which among the following salts is hydrophobic? I told you how to see. Hydrophobic should be inorganic. Simple answer. Which is inorganic? Is this inorganic? No. Is this inorganic? No. Is this inorganic? No. Sulfur is inorganic? Yes. So the answer is D. So D is the answer. Very simple answer to find. Option D. So the last question of the day. Which of the following constitute irreversible colloidal system in water as dispersion medium? Irreversible colloidal system. Very good. So this is an indication of lyophobic. Very simple. Lyophilic is reversible. Lyophobic is irreversible. So if we say platinum inorganic, iron hydroxide inorganic, clay is silica SiO2, so inorganic, all are inorganic. So the answer will be all of these. Let us check this. The answer for this is yes, all of this. So children, so we have completed today's questions of 3 lessons: D block, F block, metallurgy and surface chemistry. Please go through the NCERT textbook for the tabular columns given in D block, F block, the names of the lanthanides, names of actinides and the ores of particular metals in metallurgy. So that makes you more and more clear after the session, after attending the synopsis and the problem solving sessions. Hope you have cleared all your concepts, or a fast brush of all the concepts is done. Thank you. All the best. God bless you.